Some words are richer with cultural meaning than other words. Words like window, lamp, chair, table, and floor just aren't as culturally loaded as heartland, farmer, and pickup truck. One very culturally loaded word is flyover country. This refers to the middle part of the United States that is ignored by people who live on the east and west coasts. They fly over the middle states. So the expressions flyover states and flyover country are synonymous. In fact, if you study the lyrics to Jason Aldean's song, Flyover States, you'll get a great introduction to the concept I'm talking about here. The East Coast has New York City, and the West Coast has Los Angeles, the two most populated cities in the U.S. Both are centers of American business, media, entertainment, and much more. These are places where fortunes are made and exciting things happen. In this discussion, I'm going to ignore all of the cities in the middle of the country because when speaking of a cultural idea, we're talking about perceptions and impressions, not facts and correct proportions. Here's what I mean. This is a very famous picture that has been imitated many times. It's the cover illustration of the New Yorker magazine. The things that are close to the New Yorker have lots of detail, but outside New York City, there's just a vast empty land with a few landmarks and some foreign countries in the distance. This is the view of a coastal elite. Coastal elite. Noun. Educated, urban, upper-class persons living on the east and west coasts of the United States. That's another word that's loaded with cultural meaning, and it's a word that's necessary to understand if we are to understand flyover country. These are common stereotypes. There's even a movie called Coastal Elites, in which coastal elites talk about themselves and their attitudes toward flyover country. Think fast. What are the top colleges in the U.S.? Did you immediately think of Harvard, Yale, Stanford, and Berkeley? Look where they are, on the east and west coasts. How about the top newspapers and book publishers? Coastal elites. TV and movie production? Coastal elites. Federal government? Coastal elites. They're rich, educated, and important. And what about the people in flyover country? As the word suggests, they are unimportant. And compared to the coastal elite, they're poor and uneducated. This is a rather unkind stereotype, and there's a rather unkind name that goes with it. Hillbillies. Hillbilly. Noun. Derogatory. An unsophisticated, non-urban person, especially from mountainous regions of the United States. For people of my generation, one TV show immediately comes to mind when we think of the word hillbilly.
The Beverly Hillbillies.
The show is a comedy about hillbillies from the Ozark Mountains in flyover country who suddenly become very rich and move to Beverly Hills, a rich and famous part of Los Angeles.
Wait a minute, hold it. How could a bunch of hillbillies possibly buy a mansion like this?
Besides the Beverly Hillbillies, American media in the mid-20th century gave us many other depictions of hillbillies. In 2020, the movie Hillbilly Elegy was released on Netflix.
I could have done better. But you got to decide. You want to be somebody or not?
It's the story of a boy who grew up in hillbilly country, but attended Yale University and joined the coastal elite.
Good to see you again.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
In sharp contrast to the old depictions of happy hillbillies with their silly situations, Hillbilly Elegy involves the serious problems faced by people in post-industrial America in what is called the Rust Belt, which is so named for the closed-up factories rusting away after manufacturing was moved overseas, particularly to China. This brings up an important point. The coastal elite actually come from all over the United States. And to repeat the important point from a moment ago, we're not talking about facts and correct proportions. We're talking about how words trigger cultural images in the minds of native speakers. This brings us to a much nicer, much more romantic stereotype of flyover country. That is, the heartland. The heartland of America is home to patriotic people who fly the American flag and join the military. They are decent, hard-working, long-suffering people of faith. They produce the nation's food and automobiles.
Americans needed vehicles worthy of who they are and what they can do. So, we built them a truck.
America's heartland is unparalleled in natural beauty. It inspired the patriotic song, America the Beautiful, which proclaims, "Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesty, above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crowned thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea." And so you see, some words are richer with cultural meaning than other ones.